Welcome to Alice Just Alice 55. You're listening to an AI-narrated audiobook version of my original story, The Unclaimed Werewolf, an Unbound Wolves novel, written by Alice N. Smith. Chapter 31, Where Eamon Returns. Eamon crossed into her territory just before dusk. He did not announce himself. He did not rush. That alone was wrong. Nora felt him before she saw him, not as intrusion, but as tension. His scent reached her altered, threaded with restraint, and something tightly held. The forest itself seemed to register it, quieting in the way it did before a storm. She rose slowly from where she'd been sitting near the den entrance. The cloak Brooks had given her rested heavy and warm around her shoulders. Morsel stood with her, ears forward, body still. "Stay," she murmured. He did, barely. Eamon stepped out from between the trees and stopped several paces away, choosing his distance carefully. His gaze went to her at once, and then to the cloak. The look was brief, too controlled to be anything but noticed, before his attention returned to her face. Something tightened behind his eyes. Nora tilted her head slightly. "You're back sooner than I expected," she said. "Yes." Not defensive, not relieved, just careful. She studied him the way she always did now, not looking for weakness, but for truth. He held himself as if he'd carried something heavy and hadn't yet set it down. "You look tired," she said instead. "Not the good kind." A pause. "I ran into delays," he replied. That answer was true, just not complete. Morsel let out a low sound in his chest. Eamon's attention flicked to him, then back to Nora, as if grounding himself in what was real and present. She took a step closer, stopping well short of crowding him. "Did someone follow you?" she asked. "No." Another truth. "Did someone try to slow you down?" He hesitated, just long enough. Yes, that was enough. Nora exhaled slowly through her nose, eyes narrowing. Counsel. Eamon didn't bother denying it. They were concerned, he said. She huffed once, humorless. "They usually are. They think things are settling," he continued carefully. "That you're adjusting." "And are you here to tell me I am?" she asked. "No." "Good." She glanced down briefly, adjusting the edge of the cloak where it sat against her collarbone. The movement was small, unconscious. Eamon saw it anyway. He felt the guilt immediately, sharp and unwelcome. He should have thought of that. He knew she'd been injured, knew she wasn't shifting, knew the nights were turning colder. And it hadn't occurred to him once that standing bare-skinned in the forest might cost her comfort she shouldn't have had to sacrifice. Brooks had seen it. The realization sat poorly in his chest. "That's new," he said quietly, nodding toward the cloak. She glanced down, then back at him. "It's warm. I can see that." There was no accusation in his tone, just something restrained. She watched him for a moment longer, then turned away, pacing a short line across the clearing. "They said something to you," she said. "Something they didn't expect you to repeat." Eamon inhaled once, steadying himself. "They think you'll choose Brooks," he said. She stopped, not stiffening, listening. "They're approving of that outcome," he continued, "and they don't see me as relevant." Her mouth curved slightly. "That must come as a shock." It didn't. She turned back to him then, expression sharpening. "Did they threaten you?" "Yes." Simple, clean. "How?" "They reminded me," he said carefully, "that my father's standing is conditional." That landed. "And that conditions can change." Nora felt something hot and dangerous stir beneath her ribs. "They would punish your pack." "If I continue to interfere," he said. She stared at him. "And you still came back?" "Yes." Not defiant, certain. Before she could respond, movement at the edge of the clearing drew her attention. Brooks stood partially in view, having clearly stopped when he realized he was not alone. His gaze moved once, from Nora to Eamon and back again. He took in the tension immediately. "This looks like a conversation that matters," Brooks said. "It does," Nora replied. Eamon's eyes flicked to Brooks, then back to the cloak around her shoulders. Another quiet twist of guilt. "They think you're the solution," Eamon said to him. Brooks grimaced faintly. "They often do." "And you didn't correct them." "I didn't confirm them either," Brooks replied evenly. Nora looked between them, understanding settling into something sharp and unwelcome. "They're rearranging things around me again," she said. "Yes," Brooks agreed. "And neither of you asked." "No," Eamon said. "No," Brooks echoed. She rested a hand on Morsel's head, grounding herself, eyes fixed on the darkening trees beyond her clearing. "You're not leaving," she said to Eamon. He didn't hesitate. "No." She turned to Brooks. "And you don't get to decide what happens here." "I know," he said. "I won't." She nodded once. "Good," she said quietly, "because whatever they think is settling," her fingers curled lightly into the edge of the cloak, not to hide, but to hold warmth she hadn't known she'd needed. "They're wrong." The forest seemed to agree, and somewhere far beyond her land, assumptions were already beginning to fail, slowly, quietly, and beyond the council's control.